You're probably familiar with many old wives' tales of curses that seem to follow inanimate objects or people. These curses seem, in most cases, to be fatal to those involved. From cars and paintings to famous musicians and mummies, is it any wonder that many people are superstitious or believe in conspiracies related to these objects or people, when the evidence keeps mounting up that these curses may actually be real? Here are 5 real-life curses. The Hollywood actor James Dean was an avid sports car racer. His infamous Porsche Spider, which was named Little Bastard, would end up taking his life and nearly costing his co-driver's life on September 30th, 1955. That part of the story isn't so strange, but this is where it starts to get weird. The insurance company declared it a write-off and a total loss. They gave James Dean's father the market value of the car as a settlement. The wreck of Little Bastard was sold via a salvage yard in Burbank, California to a Dr. William F. Estrich. He dismantled the engine and mechanical parts and put these into his Lotus, and was then involved in a minor shunt in the Pomona sports car races. Dr. Estrich loaned the drivetrain and some other parts to a Dr. McHenry, who was also in the same race. Dr. McHenry was sadly killed when the car he was racing in, which contained parts from Little Bastard, smashed head-on into a tree in the first race. A wire service story on March 12, 1959 reported that the Little Bastard, temporarily stored in a Fresno, California garage at 3158 Hamilton Avenue, caught fire, awaiting display as a safety exhibit in a coming sports and custom automobile show. This was one car which didn't want to belong to anyone, including James Dean. The Crying Boy is a painting by Italian artist Giovanni Bragolin, which was widely distributed from the 1950s to the 1980s. Many copies of this painting are supposed to have caused homes to set on fire, and each time a fire broke out, the paintings always miraculously survived without so much as a scorch mark on them. The curse gained media attention in the 80s when a firefighter claimed that the paintings were frequently found amongst the remains of these burned houses. The Sun newspaper organised mass bonfires of the paintings that were sent in by readers who happened to have one in their home. The 27 Club is a term that refers to a number of popular musicians who died at the age of 27, often as a result of drug and alcohol abuse or violent means such as homicide or suicide. The number of musicians who have died at this age and the circumstances of many of those deaths have given rise to the idea that premature deaths at this age are unusually common. The club has been repeatedly cited in music magazines, journals and the daily press. Several exhibitions have been devoted to the idea, as well as novels, films and even stage plays. There have been many different theories and speculations about the causes of such early deaths and their possible connections. Cobain and Hendrix biographer Charles R. Cross writes, "The number of musicians who died at 27 is truly remarkable by any standard. Although humans die regularly at all ages, there is a statistical spike for musicians who die at 27. Some famous artists who died at this age include Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison. The great Khan Timur launched a military campaign from Persia to southern Russia. Thousands of people were killed and he became incredibly powerful and wealthy. On his coffin was written, "When I arise from the grave, the world will tremble." People believed these words for many years, and when Stalin came to excavate his tomb, a lot of people tried to convince his men not to. Unfortunately, they did anyway. One person said, "These old men showed me a book saying that the tomb of Timur should not be opened, otherwise a war could erupt. I was young at the time and not too wise. I did not pay too much attention to this event. On the 21st of June, we removed the skull of Timur. Then, on the 22nd of June, the war with the Germans began. A few hours after this, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, an invasion into Russian territory. Years later, towards the end of the war, the Russians returned Timur's body to his tomb, and at the same time, the final attempt for Germans to escape Stalingrad failed. Johnny Garrett was arrested for the crime of violently raping and murdering a nun, a crime that he claimed he was innocent for. Johnny, who had intellectual and cognitive disabilities, was pressured into signing a confession. After a 9-year-long court case, he was finally sentenced to death. Before Johnny died, he wrote a letter to the state and the media, in which he named and cursed many people. It was eventually discovered that he was actually innocent and the real killer was a Cuban refugee with a history of rape and murder. His name was cleared, but the curse remained. 15 people related to the case died, including lawyers, jurors and news reporters. Many of them died from cancer or accidents. So, do you think that it's possible that these people and objects really do have a curse that is attached to them? Or is it just superstitious old wives' tales that get swept into a frenzy and turned into some kind of legend? Or is there some credence to these tales? After all, when we take a look at the consequence of opening Khan Timur's tomb, Operation Barbarossa broke out the next day. Or the fact that multiple musicians all died at the same young age of 27. It's difficult to discredit such curses when the evidence points to the contrary. I'd like to take this opportunity to discuss the amendment to my upload schedule for new episodes. Due to commitments with my gaming channel and personal life, I will be uploading new content for Strangeries on the first and third Sunday of each month from now on. Don't worry, you'll still be getting plenty of regular content from this channel, but just not as often. Thank you to those who have subscribed so far, I appreciate every one of you. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another Strangeries episode. Thanks for watching.